Hello, welcome back. This is lecture number 4, and I'm going to create exercises 10, 11, and 12. As you know, there are 10 lectures in this series, and I will create a total of 30 different drawings. Each lecture lasts approximately 1 hour. A different lecture is given each week at the same time. If you prefer that the lectures be given at a different time, please let me know. Let's get started with a few tips and tricks about Autocad. What you see on the screen are a group of objects which I created to show you how to extrude objects. The extrude command is the basic tool used to create 3D solids. Extrude creates solids from closed objects such as polygons, rectangles, circles, ellipses, and regions. And when used for extrusions, these objects are called profiles. You can extrude a profile in either a positive or negative direction, and extrusions can have either a positive or negative taper, as you will soon see. The first thing I'll do is to make a positive extrusion of the objects in red, which are a closed spline, a closed polyline, a donut, an ellipse, and a region. I'm going to type 1.5 to specify the height of the extrusion and accept the default value of 0 for the taper. You can see that the selected profiles are extruded 1.5 units straight up, and now I can add some shading to it. Now you might ask the question, how do you make a negative extrusion? So I'm going to repeat the extrude command and pick the blue polygon and the blue circle. I'll type -2 to specify an extrusion height of -2 units and accept the default 0 taper angle. And you'll notice that those objects were extruded in a negative or down direction. In order to make an extrusion with a positive taper, I drew a magenta colored polygon in the middle at the top of the screen, and I'll type 1 to specify an extrusion height of 1 unit and 10 to specify a taper angle of 10 degrees. In this case, you can notice that the taper on the object is clearly visible. Finally, I want to make an extrusion with a negative taper, and so I take the green circle in the lower left corner, extrude it to a height of 0.5, and give it a taper angle of -12 degrees. You'll notice that the taper direction is going clockwise in a negative direction. Just a word of caution here. If you want it to extrude the red objects, you should be sure that the current layer has the color red. And if you're going to extrude a blue object, the layer should be set for a color blue, and so forth and so on. I thought you might enjoy this little excursion into using the extrude command, but now let's get back into the business of creating the exercise drawings from 10 to 12. Welcome to exercise 10, and again we'll start by clicking on model space, setting the drawing layer, which is layer 1, to be current. We'll draw starting with a line with ortho on. Pick any point, move the mouse, 4.5, enter, up 7.5, enter. 4.5, enter. C to close. Then we'll zoom so that the drawing will be more visible. Since this drawing is at half scale, I'll have to change dim scale. D-I-M-S-C-A-L-E. Dim scale should be 2. Now I'm going to offset. O, enter. 0.88. Enter twice to offset 1.06. Enter twice to offset 2.38. Now I'm going to draw a circle. C, enter. Hit escape, C, enter. I'll put O snap on. Pick the intersection. Type D, enter for diameter. 0.94. Enter. I'll do that again. C, enter for circle. D, enter. 0.94, enter. Now what I want to do is copy these 3 lines with ortho on, drag them over like that, enter. Offset again. The thickness 0.13, enter. And now I can trim from this line, enter, these 2 lines. Also, I want to erase these construction lines. The next thing you'll want to do is go to Layer and make Layer Center Current. And you'll want to go to Dimension Style. You'll want to go to Lines. No, you want to go to Symbols and Arrows. Yeah, you see if I click on Mark over here, all I get is a small center mark. I really want Line to show these long center lines. So I say OK and close. Now I'll go and pick the center mark, and that's done. Repeat the command, that's done. Then I can copy, CO, enter. I can copy that center line and drag it over to here. Also, I can type M, enter to move the side view away so I'll have room to dimension. At this point, you want to add dimensions, so you go to Layer, you make the DIM layer current, and start dimensioning. Go to Linear Dimension, and you pick from this endpoint here. And you pick from this endpoint to that endpoint. Stop it right at that intersection, the endpoint. Spacebar. That doesn't look right, so I'm going to hit escape and undo. Too many arrows. Okay, so now we'll try it again. Linear dimension from here to here, and we'll just set it a little higher. It's not a big deal. Hit the space bar. Go go from here to here. Here I hate it when it does that. I'll have to figure out why it does it. So I'm going to click on that. I guess first of all I'll have to pan or shrink it down. Okay. I'll click on this and then drag it down. Also, we want to put a dimension where the object snap on from here to here, like that. And finally, we want to go to diameter and select any one of these, either circle, drag it down till you get that, and I can edit, ED enter, M view comes up, I can click on the symbol and put a diameter. I can put a diameter, and I can even click before that if I want, and backspace. I'll put 2x space and click OK. The 2D drawing is complete, so now we want to make the solid. So I shrink down the drawing, move it over, go to layer, make the layer solid, current. Then I'm going to copy just the picture if I can and drag it up like that. I'll zoom in on it so as to erase any unnecessary lines. So I want to erase these center lines because they're not necessary. I want to type PE enter, which is polyline edit. I'm asked if I want to turn it into a polyline. I say yes, enter. J, enter to join. So I want to join all the lines of the rectangle to make one continuous line. Hit enter twice. Also, I want to select the entire thing and put it on a different layer. Right now it's on layer 1. I want it to be on layer solid. It should all turn red, which it does. Now I want to move into southeast isometric, and I'll pan to get over, and I'll zoom so that you can see it better. And now I want to extrude. I'll type EXT enter, and I'm going to extrude everything, the two circles and the rectangle, to a thickness of 0.13. Then I'll want to subtract from the rectangular block, enter, the two small cylindrical holes, enter. And then I want to use 3D rotate to select the object, the bracket, pick a point, pick the red axes and type 90. And we'll shade it to see what it looks like. It looks okay, so I'll Z, enter, E, enter. I'll go into top view. I'll go and into layout, then into layer, make viewports, current, okay. I'll take off object snap and ortho, and I'll draw a rectangle. To bring out the 2D drawing. What happened? enter. Didn't work for some odd reason. So I'm going back into model space. Then I'll go into layout. I'm going to erase this. Now double click inside. It's got to be there. Something wrong with my mouse. Anyway, let's try it again. MV enter. Okay. This didn't want to work for some odd reason. So I'll erase this rectangle. Try it again. MV enter. That's more like it. Double click inside the smaller one. Move into southeast isometric. Pan. I think I need a new mouse. Zoom with window. Now I'm going to click outside, then the large viewport, and this is to be at 1/2 scale. So go down to annotation scale, click on the arrow, and I've got 1/2. Double click inside, and I can pan to show the whole thing. Well, it's all there, so we can leave it alone. And to have fun again, we'll zoom with a window, the bracket, double click inside, and then I'm going to do a view, orbit, continuous orbit, give a little push. Isn't that fun? Right click and exit. Go into zoom previous, double click outside, C enter, E enter, go to layer, make layer 1 current, freeze viewports. The drawing is complete. They'll get a little more difficult as we go on. But that was fun. Thank you for watching. This will be exercise number 11. Right now we're in paper space, so I'll click on the model button. Click on the model button, get into model space, go to layer, and make layer 1 current. And now we can start to draw a line. Anywhere on the screen is okay. I'll start here, in that direction, 1.88. Move down 1.25, enter. To the left, 1.88, enter. Up, C, enter to close. And now I'll zoom it up so that we can all see it better. Perhaps make it even a little bit larger. Then I'll pan, and that's going to be the front view. And we're going to do the top view as well. The top view apparently is the same, so I'm going to simply copy and drag it up, and that'll be the top view. Hit escape. First thing you have to do is to offset. O, enter. 0.38, enter. Enter twice to repeat the command. Offset 1, enter. Then I'll draw a line that's diagonal. O snap should be on. And I'll erase the construction lines. Next, I'll want to, well, perhaps I was a little premature. I'll draw another line from here up, and I'll offset O, enter. Try it again. O, enter. 1.13, enter. Now I'm going to copy, CO, enter, this line from that point to that point, enter, and I can trim from this line, enter, that line, enter, and I can erase these construction lines. I can type O again, this time 0.5, and start work on the top view. And I can hit escape to clean the command line and draw a line from this intersection up, enter, from this intersection up, hit enter twice, and from this intersection I'm going to draw a line from this intersection up. Now we'll use the fillet command, F enter, and we'll clean up this corner, hit the space bar or whatever, clean up this corner, and then this intersection. And we have to break from here to here, so I'm going to type BR enter to break. I'll type F enter for the first point here and just pick the second point there. Now all we have to do is trim. TR enter. Going to trim from this surface and from that surface. Enter. And it would appear that we have properly constructed the top view and the front view. Since the entire drawing is to be plotted at 1:1, we do not have to change dim scale, but we should check dimension style to make sure it's 2 places after the decimal, which it is, so we'll close. Then we'll go to layers and make dimension layer current and start dimensioning the object. We'll go to linear dimension here. Here's the first point, second point, drag it out there. Hit the space bar or the enter key. Put a dimension here. Put a dimension here. And we could put also a dimension here. Next we'll want to put a dimension here and here. The dimensions all seem to be correct, the views seem to be correct, so now we'll proceed to make the solid model. First thing I'll do is to zoom it down, pan, move that over to that side of the screen. Change the layer to solid current. Use a polyline. Well, better still, I'll use a rectangle right now. Pick 2 diagonal points. M enter, L enter. Move the last object I made and take ortho off. Move it to the upper right. Now I'll go and use a polyline and you trace over this thing, I don't know what you call it, C to close, and I'm going to move L, enter, move the last thing I made from here out to here, and then we'll zoom, or rather go into southeast isometric, and we'll pan and zoom so it's enlarged what we're going to make into a solid. I'll type EXT, enter, to extrude the rectangle 1.25, enter, and I'll extrude this weird polyline 0.5. Now you'll use the 3D rotate command and select both objects, pick a base point, say there, click the red ribbon and type 90, enter, and we'll want to move M, enter. I'm going to move that, and then I'll move it again, because this corner here is supposed to fit in that corner, and you'll want to subtract from the rectangle, enter, that shape, enter, and let's see what it looks like. It looks correct, so we'll zoom extents, Z, enter, E, enter, move into top view, click on the layout button to get into paper space, change the layer and make viewport current, take OSNAP off, type MV, enter, that's to create viewports, MV, enter, and I'll make one viewport here, enter, and another one here. Double click inside the small one, go to southeast isometric, then pan and zoom. Use zoom real time to make it bigger, pan to move it around. You double click outside the viewport, get back into paper space. Click on the larger rectangle and set an annotation scale, which should be 1:1. So it made it bigger. Now double click inside and then pan. Remember not to zoom when you're inside in paper space. That looks good. So you'll double click outside, and if you want to hide the viewport rectangle, you go to layer, make a different layer current like 1, and freeze the viewport layer. The drawing is now complete and it looks correct in all respects. So this is the end of tutorial 11. Now we'll do exercise 12. As you can see on the left side of the screen, I've already gone into model space and I've already set the layer 1 to be current. And so I'll simply type C, enter, C, enter, pick any point, D, enter, 1.98, enter, and then I'll make it larger, the screen larger, by zooming out or in. Next I'll type C, enter. I'll pick the OSNAP center mark, type D, enter, 1.48, enter. Repeat the command by hitting the enter key. Again, go to the center marker by the circle, D, enter, 0.48. Now to dimension style, to make sure that I don't have a center mark, but rather the line. You can see the lines are there, not just the center mark. So I'll say OK, close. Then I'll go to dimension toolbar and find the center mark, which is here. Next, you'll want to O enter, 0.5 enter. Select this line and move it up there. Then extend, EX enter, EX enter to this line, enter that, and I can trim from this circle, enter that line, enter. Next, you'll want to type BR, enter, to break this arc. F, spacebar is the first point, O snap should be on. So I pick the first point and the second point. Repeat the command, break that, F, enter, first point, second point. Now you'll want to copy, CO enter, that horizontal line, drag it over here, escape or enter. You want to draw another line from here over, enter, another, enter again, repeat the command, draw another line like this, enter, offset, O enter, 0.63, enter, repeat command, 1.25, enter. And now we also want to draw a line from here over there, enter. You'll want to clean up the intersection, so type F, enter, then start picking intersections. Also, you'll want to trim from this line, enter that, repeat the command, trim from that line, enter that. Now is a good time to change the layer of the center line. So I'll select the center line that way and also that way. Go up here to property. Instead of being on layer 1, I click that and I want to put them on layer center. Hit escape, so now they become center lines. Also, I'll want to copy that center line and just drag it over to be the center line of that view. Escape. And I'll even want to move this view and perhaps make it, well, not yet. I'll make layer hidden current, and I can draw a line from that intersection to there, enter again, draw another line from that intersection there, and then I want to trim, TR enter, from both surfaces, enter these two lines on both sides. In the drawing, looks like it's drawn fairly well. Next, you'll want to add dimensions, so make them DIM current, pick linear dimensions, then simply start to make the dimensions. Hit the space bar to repeat the command. And they're all there except the small diameter, so I'll go to the diameter icon on the dimension toolbar, select the circle and drag it up, and that looks correct. And so the front drawing and the right side drawing, as well as the dimensions, all seem to be correct. To make the solid, we have to go to layer and make solid current. Then we'll shrink the drawing down with zoom real time and pan to move it over to the right side. Then you'll probably want to copy CO, enter that view and drag it up. With ortho off, drag it up and put it here. And I believe you probably are going to have to copy it again. Then we'll zoom to increase the view, and we'll erase what we don't need. In other words, we are not going to need these center lines in the creation of the solid model on either view. We'll erase that. And then this one here. And we'll trim. TR enter. I'm going to trim from the arc these end pieces. Next, you'll want to type PE enter, polyline edit. Select the straight line. Command line says, do you want to turn it to a polyline? You say yes. Enter. J, enter. So I'm going to join the horizontal line with the arc. Enter. Twice. Repeat the command. You want to make that line a polyline? Yes. Enter. J, enter. Select the straight line and the arc. Hit enter twice. You can see if I hover over them, they are one line. I can create a window and I can change the property. They're on layer 1. I'm going to put them on layer solid and hit escape. Now I can move into southeast isometric view, pan and zoom, and I'm ready to extrude. I'm going to type EXT, enter, extrude that section and that section, enter, a height of 0.63, enter. I'm going to extrude the smaller one and its circle, enter, to a height 0.62, enter. And then I'm going to subtract from that the whole, enter. Repeat the command, subtract from the smaller one, enter, the whole, enter. And let's see what it looks like. It looks like I got to put them together, so I'll go back to 3D wireframe visual style. Now I'm going to type M enter, because you want to move the smaller one from its center, from its O-snap center here to the O-snap center on the top. That didn't work out, so I'll try it again. M enter, select the object from center of the bottom hole to the center of the top hole, and I can union them together now, make them one piece. And I can go to 3D rotate, select the object, and pick the center, either one. Select the red ribbon. An angle is asked for, so I'll simply type 90. Add some shading. It looks correct, so we'll zoom extents. Then move into top view. Click on the layout button. Change the layer, current layer, to viewports. Now type MV, enter, and create two viewports. There's one, enter, there's the other, and if I click inside the smaller, I can go to southeast isometric, I can pan and zoom to enlarge the solid model. Double click outside, click on the larger viewport, go to annotative scale, and since it's all going to be plotted at 1:1, I'll select 1:1. Now I'll double click inside the large viewport and I'll pan only to put it in the proper location. That looks pretty good. Double click outside to get into paper space. Click on layer, make layer 1 current. I was too quick. Freeze the viewports layer. The drawing looks very correct, so we'll end this exercise number 12, and then we'll create exercise number 13. Thank you for your attention. This video will show how to align two objects in 2D. The first thing to do is to make the command line active, type AL, enter, and select the objects. I'll select them with a window. Enter. I'll have to pick the first point, but I need OSNAP to be on, so I'll connect these 2 points, then I'll connect these 2 points. I'll press enter to end the command. The selected objects are moved from the source point to the destination point, and second and third points, if I specified them, will rotate and tilt the selected objects. In this video, you will learn how to draw an arc by specifying 3 points. I'll pick on the command line to make it active, type A, enter, and I need a start point. OSNAP is on, so I can pick this point, then I'll pick a point for the arc, and then the end point. I could do that again by hitting enter or the space bar to repeat the command. Take my first point, second point, and end point. Now we'll see how to use the break command to break an object, whether it be a line, a circle, or an arc. Of course, we'll make the command line active and type BR, enter, which is the alias for break, and we'll select the line, and we're going to take OSNAP off, and what we have to do is pick a point. You don't have to actually touch the line. I can repeat the command and pick another 2 points like that, or whatever. Keep doing it. Either go right to left or left to right, it doesn't matter. This time I'll hit enter or the space bar, and I'll select this line here. I'll type F enter, put the object snap back on, and select my first intersection and then my second intersection, and you see that the line in between has disappeared. Also, we'll take off the object snap, we'll hit the space bar to repeat the command, and we'll try it on the circle. We'll pick 2 points, hit the space bar or enter key, another 2 points. You'll notice that I'm doing it counterclockwise. When you break a circle, you always have to do it counterclockwise. You don't actually have to touch it but get close to it. And that looks reasonably well. In this video, we'll learn how to chamfer objects. I have here a plate and a round shaft. So the first thing I'll do is to type CHA enter, then I'll type D enter, and I'll type 0.25 enter. That establishes one distance. I'll hit enter, that establishes a second distance. Now all I got to do is select 2 lines. Hit enter or the space bar to repeat the command and select another 2 lines. Repeat the command by hitting the space bar or enter key, and then do the last one. As far as the shaft goes, I'm going to type CHA enter again. Try it. CHA enter, D enter. This time the distance will be 0.06. Enter, and I'll enter it again because I want it at 45 degrees. So now I'll select the corner, repeat it down there, and again on this side, and again here. And since this is a shaft, and looking at it from the outside, there should be a line here. So I'm going to put a line with object snap on from here to here, enter, repeat the command from here to here. And the drawing looks correct, so we'll move on. In this case, we will learn to draw a circle by specifying a center point and radius or diameter. And so I'm going to type C enter, then I'll type R enter, and with those snap on, pick the left end point, move the mouse. I'll type R enter for the radius and type 0.19, enter. Repeat the command by hitting the enter or space key. Select the other end of the line. Now I'm going to type D enter, and I'll type 0.75 enter. And that looks right. In this case, we're going to copy an object using 2 points. So on the command line, I'll type CO, enter. I'll select the circle on the left, enter. A base point, I'll select the quadrant using object snap, the quadrant, and I'll put that at the end point of the vertical line. Hit escape. Repeat the command. I'll select the circle. I'll pick the quadrant again, but this time I'll pick that left side quadrant, then bring it over here and put it at the end point there, and hit enter or escape to complete the command. And that looks okay. Here in this video, we'll learn how to insert points to mark equal segments. The first thing I want to do is to type PDMODE. The reason for that is I want to make sure I've got a mark here. 0, 1, 2, 3 all have different marks. So I'm going to accept 3 as the mark. Now I'm going to type DIV, enter. I'll select the line, and I'm asked for the number of segments. I'll type 3, enter. I'll repeat the command. I'll select the circle, and they ask for the number of segments, and I'll type 6. So those X's are PD mode 3, and that divides the line. I could draw lines, I could break at those points, and incidentally they're called nodes. These X's are called nodes. So you can break different segments and so forth. I don't think that the erase command requires much explanation. All you have to do is type enter, and you can select individual entities to erase, or you can hit enter, then you can type enter with a crossing so that anything you touch can be erased, or you can make a window so anything encompassed by the window will be erased, or you can undo. I think that's enough for the erase command. The extend command is pretty straightforward. I'll type EX, enter to extend. I'll select the circle, enter, and then pick any of these points to extend it to the perimeter of the circle. Repeat the command. I can do it one at a time. I want to extend to that line, enter. Repeat the command. I want to extend to this line, enter, that line, enter. Or you can do it multiple at once. For example, I want to extend to both of those lines, enter, then I can extend it like that. That's all you have to know about extend. The fillet command is extremely useful, and I use it all the time. I'll type F enter, R enter, 0.19 enter, and I'll select these 2 lines. I'll do it again. F enter, R enter. This time the radius will be 0, enter. This is a command you'll use constantly, because I can make a right angle whether the lines are far apart or whatever. So you want to be sure you learn the fillet command, and that's all there is to it. Here we're going to use the hatch command. I'll type H enter. Dialog box comes up and I'm asked to select objects. So let's say I select the rectangle, enter, dialog box appears again. I don't wish to make any changes to the scale or whatever, so I'll simply say OK. I'll repeat the command. This time I want to change the direction of the hatch marks, so I'll change the angle from 0 to 90. And I'll pick a point. I'll select objects. I'll select the circle, enter, dialog box appears, you click OK, and that's it. Kind of easy and straightforward. Autocad is not as hard as many people think it is once you get into it. Sometimes it's easier to use the mirror command than to use copy or move. In this case, I'll use mirror. MI, enter. I'll select the number 2 on that side, enter. With O snap on, I'll pick that vertical line. I got to pick 2 points like so, and you hit enter. You notice that the 2 does not invert. And I guess that's it for this video. The move command is also straightforward. Simply type M enter, select the circle, go to the intersection there and drag it to the end point like that. I could mirror that to put the circle on the other end, but instead I'm going to repeat, or I'll use the copy command. So I'm going to copy this, enter, from the quadrant on the left side and drag it over to the other end. Hit enter. And that's that. In this video, we'll offset a circle and a rectangle by specifying a distance. And so on the command line, I'll simply type O enter, and then I'll type in a distance, 0.1, enter. And I can offset the circle any number of times. And also I can offset the rectangle, in both inside and outside, as you see. Hit escape to clear the command line, and that's that. In this video, we're going to use the petit command to join polylines, lines and arcs into a single polyline. Of course, you have to have a single polyline as shown in red here in order to be able to extrude it in 3 dimensions. So, to begin with, I'm going to activate the command line and type PE enter. It says select a polyline, so I select a line. I'm asked if I want to turn it into a polyline. I say yes, enter, just hit enter. Then I want to type J enter to join. In other words, I want to join to that line which I just made a polyline, all these other lines. So I select them all and hit enter twice. Now that is a polyline which can be extruded. So it's same with that one. This is also, petit is also useful to create wide polylines. For example, if I was to type PE enter and select this line, which is a polyline, I can type W enter and specify a new width for all the segments. So I'll type 0.1 125, enter. Repeat the command, select the second line, W for width, enter, specify a new width, 0.375, enter. Repeat the command, select a polyline. An arc is a polyline. No, it's not. So I guess I have to turn it into a polyline. I'll say yes, enter, and then I'll type W, enter, and specify a width of 0.062, enter. And that's another example of the polyline edit command. In this video, we will create a polar array, and so I'll click the command line to make it active, type AR, enter. Then click on Polar Array and select Objects button, and I'll select the object. Hit enter, dialog box appears again. I'll click to pick a center point, which will be at the cross section. The total number of items I'll change to 10. I want the angle to fit to be 360 degrees, and so I'll click OK. In this one, we will create a rectangular array. We'll type AR, enter on the command line and select rectangular array. Now we'll want to change the rows to 2 and the columns to 3, and we have to select the objects down here. The dialog box appears again, and we should put in dimensions. The row offset would be 0.48, and the column, no, my mistake, the row offset would be 0.59, and the column offset would be 0.48. Then we'll click OK, and that looks all right. The rotate command is another one that I use quite often. All you got to do is type RO, enter. I'll select this line and select the base. I want the line to go clockwise, so it has to be a negative number. So I'll simply type -30, -30. Repeat the command. This time I'll take this vertical line, enter. There's the base point, and I want to do -30 again, -30 again. Then of course I would copy CO, enter, this line in order to make the before and after the same. We'll learn about putting dimensions on later on. And that's that. The scale command is also pretty straightforward. Just types SC, enter, select the object including the dimension, because the dimension will change when you scale it. I'll pick the intersection there, and I'll make it scale it by a factor of 2, enter. And that looks right. I want to drag it down with grip so to improve the appearance. You'll have to take O-snap off to do it right, like that. hit escape. And that is done for the scale command. Using the trim command is also very helpful. Just type tr enter and I'll select, say, these two vertical lines, enter. So from those lines I can trim that one, and that one. Or I can just type F enter and draw a line. It's a fence. Then automatically all of them will be trimmed at once. Or I can trim, I'll hit escape, repeat the command, I can trim from the circle anything on the outside like that. Or if I wanted, I could even trim on the inside like this. I'll hit escape and undo that, just so I'll try it one more time, and this time I'll type tr enter. I want to trim from the circle, enter, and I'll use a fence, F enter. So I want to get rid of those lines, enter, trim again, select objects, F for fence, and then just do it backwards like that. And that does it for this grouping of simple basic AutoCAD commands. Thank you for your attention.